Today, we will be presenting to you our report for the organic fertilizer sales of Jarls Company. Fertilizer is a natural or artificial substance containing chemical elements that improve the growth and productiveness of plants. These are essential sources of plant nutrients and a soil conditioner in agriculture. Organic fertilizers are derived from plant and vegetables residues, animal matter, and animal excreta or mineral sources. The basic types of this kind are manure, compost, rock phosphate, chicken litter, bone meal, and vermicast. This data report presents the sales of external, walk-in, and consignment sales of Jarls organic fertilizer from January through June 30, 2021. Credit consumers are companies that purchase products and services on account are referred as external sales. Credit consumers agree to acquire items with the promise of paying later in this type of commercial transactions. In the event of pandemic, it is convenient to provide and accept credit consumers in order for the firm to remain profitable and efficient. In the external sales illustration analysis, it shows us a clear and organized data. We can see that the sales are increasing from the month of February to May, and then a sudden decline in June. Since here in the Philippines, March to May is the peak of the summer season, the best time for farmers and individuals harvest their crops as well as planting it with alternatives immediately. Therefore, fertilizers are expected to be in high demand. That is why resellers do bulk buying from their suppliers to cater the orders of their customers, and they are expected to pay their accounts before due dates. So for the analysis, the following are the factors that may possibly affect the increase and decrease in external sales from the month of January to June. First, farmers or consumers usually use fertilizer during the summer season, which runs from the month of March to May. Enough reason why credit consumers purchase in bulk, thus naturally increasing sales. The second, the rainy season commences most probably in the month of June, and it is not recommended to fertilize plants, resulting in a decline of sales. Also, since this month is no longer a peak season, there is a less or no demand from the consumer, so the company will also pull back from supplying them. Lastly, both months of January and February didn't have a good start to their sales records, might because of the unpaid payables and some were written off since expenses are largely intended for the recent special holidays.
Next is on the walk-in sales. Walk-in sales, on the other hand, are sales coming from those customers who buy directly fertilizer from physical store without an appointment. This is a report that displays the count of our retail sales. Given the data, the walk-in sales are very inconsistent with each month of records. Starting of the month of January, it is the biggest sales because consumers take advantage of the low price fertilizer to prepare for the upcoming months where they are best to use. Commonly, products that aren't yet in demand have lower prices. Furthermore, the customers will buy in store to choose the fertilizer of their preference in accordance with the type of crops they are planning to plant, thus signifying the bigger consumption of organic fertilizer. Another reason why these people choose to buy fertilizer physically is that they probably get a discount when buying in large volumes and get the chance to evaluate the quality or other fertilizer they have never known before. The month of February had a big drop in sales. It might be due to the fact that consumers had enough stock from their bulk purchases from the prior month, or maybe they changed their preference to modern or inorganic fertilizer. Sales started to revive in March, especially in May, because the planting season for crops in general was booming. Also, with the height of the pandemic, the interest of people in planting flowers and vegetables is escalating. That is why demand for fertilizer is increasing, so the sales are. As the month of June enters as the wet seasons, sales are lower as expected. With less demand, there would be less supply. Therefore, there's a big impact on sales.
Lastly is the consignment. A consignment is an arrangement between a reseller or the consignee and their supplier or the consignor that allows the reseller to pay for their products after they have been sold. Accordingly, the consignee deducts the commission earned from the amount remitted to the consignor based on the markup he made on the final selling price. And for the analysis, from the data given, January has the worst record of sales, though in walk-in sales, it states that this is the best month to take advantage of buying fertilizer since it is priced low. One mitigating factor why it had a bad record might be because the consignee added too much markup on the product that he made consumers not buy it. Another potential reason is that there is an intense competition with other stores in the location where the fertilizer is placed for sale. Also, flowers, vegetables, and other crops are not really hitting the trend this month. With the fierce competition they experienced in January, Jarls consignee had to set competitive prices that tend to dominate the immediate vicinity where the sale of fertilizer is located. Also, different types of organic fertilizer have been supplied by Jarls given the fact that plants, vegetables, and crops vary in the type of fertilizer needed. There were some of the factors rightly considered by the consignee which had a significant impact running from February, most especially to May when they recorded the best. Another slope down of sales happened in June. It might be because the farmers realized that buying organic fertilizer cost them so much, the reason why they opted to decompose fertilizer on their own, which means they could save their money. Also, another factor is that when consumers are looking and in need of these fertilizers, because it is not the demand season yet, the supplies are low, which has a major parallel effect on their sales as well. And for the findings, given the increase analysis of data sales from the three sources for the 6-month duration, the findings disclose that the external contributed the highest sales, which covered 59.12% of total sales, followed by 31.67% and 9.21% of walk-in and consignment sales, respectively. However, all of these three sources experience fluctuations and revival in their sales. Organic fertilizer sales are based on demand, which is basically dependent on the season. All three sources are hyping their sales during the summer season and have an adverse effect during the wet season, as well as the amount of uncollected debts from these creditors. It further discussed that the sales are also affected by the trend or occasion of what plants or crops are popular and when they are suitable to be planted. Consequently, farmers and consumers prefer price as the primary basis for selecting and buying a fertilizer without undermining its quality. In addition, as there are different types of crops, plants, and vegetables, consumers as well are very particular about what appropriate fertilizer they're going to purchase. Finally, in the province's most typical situations, individuals opt to have their own decomposed fertilizer or are likely to obtain it from neighboring rice fields or their immediate environment. And for the recommendations, with these findings, it is recommended for Charles Company to study and evaluate factors that make each of these three sources have a different sales standing. The company must increase and boost the productivity rate during the peak season to supply the higher demand in order to cater their customers responsibly. Offering and accepting more credit consumers is also advisable. However, the company should select these credit customers wisely in order to avoid long debts and uncollected accounts. In addition, the company should make another strategic plan to sell organic fertilizer during slow-moving sales, like introducing or advertising it to the general public through the use of the internet, wherein it can reach a large number of people. Giving discounts or previes to patron customers will surely attract new buyers, thus an increase in sales. Lastly, widen the area of availability of the product so that individuals and consumers have access to and find these products in every town. Consignees must put a markup that is reasonable enough, while suppliers must develop more quality organic fertilizers. That could be all. Thank you and God bless.